Hello Evertonians and welcome to another episode of the All Together Now podcast. We are here in the Bramley Moore Pub and it is absolutely freezing cold. Greg, put 50 pence in the heaters please. Greg O'Keefe, David Hughes as ever, and on this week's episode, after the international break, we're here to talk about the Bramley Moore Stadium going forward, digesting and getting our teeth stuck right into the second stage of the public consultation, all the results and the analysis on that, and also be speaking about Everton versus Norwich City on Saturday, where I think they have the potential to go into the top 6 or 7, believe it or not. Shows you how tight it is. First up, Greg, the second stage of the public consultation was just, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, so I think it's important that we discuss that because we haven't got that length of time now before planning permission goes forward. 43,000 people took part in the second stage. Was you expecting more, expecting less?
No, I wouldn't say I was expecting more. I think actually it's remarkable that they've managed to get that amount of people, the biggest ever commercial public consultation in the city ever, which is... again, I think that's a big statement of the work that Everton have done to make this a landmark bit of consultation. So everyone, and what I found fascinating was everyone, not just Everton supporters or football supporters, almost every cross-section, if you look into the stats that they've put out there, have been consulted and have given their feedback. So I think 43,000 is an awful lot of people. I know people might say, well, the population of Liverpool's X, Y and Z, but realistically you're never going to get everyone in the city to take part. So the consultation is huge. The results are an emphatic thumbs up for Everton's vision for the Bramley Moore and for the Goodison legacy. And I hope, like every other Evertonian, what it does is make the passage through the planning process smoother and lets the world know that this stadium is one that people in the city and beyond, but people in the city first and foremost are fully behind.
It is important, David, that it's not just an Everton thing, is it? It's that the city fully gets behind this, isn't it? Because it's all well and good, like 3 Evertonians here all waxing lyrical about the stadium every single week and what it's going to look like, but it's important that the whole of the city gets behind this, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a part of a bigger regeneration of an area in a part of the city that's been run down for too long, really. It's a great part of the city. It's got fantastic views. It's right near the city centre. So it is important. That is one of the big factors behind it.
96% of the 43,000 people that voted supported the stadium. I'd like to see the 4,000 that didn't. It'd be interesting to get their views. Well, I think Dan might be a big fan of this. Is that 98% rather support the designs of the new stadium. Who are them 2%, Greg? How on earth could you find a fault in the designs of the stadium?
I understand it's not even that they're totally opposed. I think the cross-section of the 2% have got like a specific gripe about, the car park shouldn't be there. So
everyone's different.
Therefore, they haven't fully endorsed it. But the people who, I think, looking into the stats, the people who've said that they oppose it just don't want to move. So don't want to leave Goodison.
They don't really, but
it's like I say, it's emphatic. It's really must be really kind of rewarding for the club who've put so much, like as far as I know, in the Premier League and even in the Football League, unprecedented that level of work, and it just shows you the seriousness and hopefully the timeliness that they'll be able to proceed. And we were talking before we started recording, weren't we, about. I'm sorry if I'm cutting across what we're going to say in a bit, but if all goes to plan and planning permission is granted before, or rather at the end of this season, we could potentially see work starting on the site.
That's amazing, that, isn't it, David? To think we're here in 16 to 24 weeks planning permission will take, and if all being well, Everton could start work on the stadium. There'd be a large construction work going on, literally just a stone to throw away from there, before Everton finish the season off. It starts to dawn on you that it's going to become reality now, isn't it?
It's daunting. It's a bit of a lump in the throat although it's an exciting move, I'm not quite sure I've said goodbye yet. So luckily we've got a few years yet, but when the process actually starts, I think everybody be able to just have a sigh of relief as well. You know, deep down, I think if we're being totally honest with ourselves, that'll be a moment of, thankfully, it's happening.
Totally.
You've been believing too many WhatsApp groups from Liverpool fans, have you?
Well, yeah, I don't know any.
No, I think that when it does, say for argument's sake, it does happen in May, June, and obviously be lovely down here in the summer and that, and then work does start going in, construction work, and you see wagons, and you see that phrase, don't you, the first spade in the ground, so to speak. I think that's when it'll actually hit home for a lot of Evertonians, going, wow, we haven't got long in here. And I've seen a lot of Evertonians on Twitter and saying about their season tickets for the next 2 or 3 seasons, and they're saying like they haven't got scope to move. Like in previous years gone by, normally if you get to the ground and say, I don't know, June time, you say, I'd like to move seats.
Yeah.
Now it's just a no-go area. You cannot move because obviously it snows under. You just cannot move because everyone knows the score now. But they want a season ticket. They want to see that last game at Goodison so much, and they want to be the first bums on the seats in this brand new stadium.
Exactly. I mean, the club are having accessibility events now when they're talking to disabled fans, and which again is something that they do incredibly well in terms of like trying to make fans with a disability feel comfortable and find that they can get to Goodison, whether it's in the lounges or have a good view, which obviously at Goodison is one of the reasons why we have to leave. And they've already been spoken to about Bramley Moore, and people are almost at the point where they're trying to envisage, like, I sit in, for example, my dad sits in the paddock. He's already thinking, I wonder where I was chatting to him the other day. He said, I wonder where I'll sit in, whether I'll sit in the equivalent to the paddock, or I might want to. And it's that excitement comes to the fore, really. And I just think, obviously, as we sit here now, and there's a huge historic wall in the way of the site, if you like. You can see through the gates.
But a ship is coming.
And a ship's along the Mersey. I think for me, it'll be probably when you see the structure of a stadium, even if it obviously just the actual structural part of it without a brick being laid, and that's when it'll start to really hit home for me, and it's just going to be fascinating. And in a way, it'll be teasing us, won't it, and tantalising us for 3 or 4 years, but let's take it one step at a time as well, because I know what David's saying there. I think, joking aside about the stupidity on WhatsApp, I think it's only normal to say, well, I'll sort of be really content to relax when I do see a spade go in the ground, and just because as well, things that may be out of the club's control with the economy, but
we're in good things, aren't we? Planning permission,
great things,
planning permission will go in December.
We're on track. We're on. This is where you want to be at this stage.
And the club couldn't have done any more, could they? In terms of delegating with fans, local businesses, the way they've consultations, all the public in general, they can't have done any more, could they?
No, but in a way, no. I think it'll probably be looked at for the next club that is building a new stadium as like a benchmark, like let's copy what Everton did.
Going forward. But 92% David supported the redevelopment of Goodison Park. Now, we're all around the Watling area quite a lot, Kirkdale, Anfield around there, and we all know it really needs investing in, the redevelopment of that area. 92% support that. That's crucial, isn't it, going forward, that we just don't leave it and walk away.
Yeah, because you would be worried for that area, wouldn't you? I imagine it's a tough life for the pubs there away from match days anyway, and County Road's looking a little bit tired, isn't it? So I think some sort of redevelopment in that area, and also leaving a real positive footnote on your departure as well. Everton really leaving something behind, as what they're planning on doing. I think that's huge, and it just goes with the ethos of Everton. I think they've always been that way inclined. It's something to be proud of off the pitch, really.
I'm really excited to see that development take shape, the legacy project, and if the plans, you see computer generated images, don't you, of so many different projects these days, and especially commercial projects, and you wonder, is that what it's going to look like? So the drawings for me are really exciting. Like, it's going to transform Walton and Kirkdale. It's going to absolutely transform it. I wouldn't be surprised if, without sounding over the top, if the quality of life goes up, if the cost of housing and property around there goes up, if the businesses around there get an uplift. And like David says, they need it, and they're definitely going to need it when Everton move. Because that's not on the flip side, let's not kind of bury our heads in the sand. It's going to be challenging for business there not to have that.
Massive.
Where's
their income?
Yeah, exactly. The pubs, not like your Thomas Frosts or your chain pubs, but the independent pubs. It's someone's livelihood.
The likes of the Brick, Winslow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Black Horse.
So it's going to be a challenge, and you're just fantastic that Everton are going to remain such a big part of that community.
Massive legacy indeed to be left. It reached out to 2,726 non-Everton fans. We are guessing they are Liverpool fans, obviously from the city.
Yeah, Tranmere maybe, but
24% not interested in football. If you weren't interested in football, Greg, and you were just, obviously you're living in the city somewhat, you find that hard to believe living in Liverpool, don't you? Would you be up for the stadium, or what would you be if you were against it?
It's a good question. I think it would depend on whether or not you had a really strong view about, I suppose, the historic nature of the dock, and whether or not, the fact of the matter is, it's historic. All the docks along here are historic, but it's currently more or less disused. So if you've got a really strongly held opinion about the historic nature of the dock, then I'd love to speak to one and sort of extrapolate it and go, but how often do you go there and just stare at a disused dock and relish it when the wind's whipping in and there's nothing around, it's a bit desolate, and what does that actually contribute to your life? Are you just saying you like the history of the docks because there's another 6 alongside? You're not going to be short of docks in Liverpool. And actually the redevelopment of the Albert dock was one of the best things that could have happened to that side of the city. So
I'll play devil's advocate.
Maybe that's what people who are into football are concerned about.
I'll play devil's advocate here. If I'm not interested in football, lovely dock on the waterfront. I don't want it spoiled by a football stadium on the front. I want lovely architecture buildings, lava buildings, all lovely skyscrapers. I don't want a stupid football stadium blocking half of the skyline.
Okay. Well, what I would say to you then is, in terms of like
a brand new stadium that doesn't look right.
Yeah. Well, I would say it does, and Dan Mice has made a sort of fantastic effort to make sure it's not like really incongruous. It fits. It's going to have the brick, as we've seen. So it's not going to be this chrome spaceship landed. So I would say it doesn't look wrong, because that was a fear, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Remember that cloud that they proposed? 15 years ago, wasn't it? 10 years ago. It just looked awful. And then I'd say as well, actually, there's nothing here. I mean, there's the six-faced clock, which is going to be kept anyway and retained as part of the stadium development, because it's got to be. Otherwise, there's nothing there that's going to be knocked down. Yet the dock will be transformed. But I don't know. There's always going to be people who are going to have a contrary opinion. The good thing is Everton have reached out to them, and a very, very, very small percent have said, "Oh, it's not for us." But it's such a minute percent that it's not representative of the people of the city.
Yeah, and I know. Listen, I was only playing devil's advocate for that one. It's just an absolute no-brainer for jobs and everything else in the future. People that live in the area. The slight concern I had with it, the whole, I think Everton have nailed absolutely everything. One little slight concern I had was around the people of this area. Where we are now. That I know there's not many that live around here. It's normally towards Vauxhall, but they weren't the first page of the public consultation, or the wagons that went around the city. I didn't see many around this way. I know they were in the city centre. I know it's only like 5 or 10 minutes
Queen's Drive as well.
They're on Queen's Drive, etc. But maybe that's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm splitting hairs there, but maybe it could have reached out a little bit more.
Parked up outside the Bramley Moore.
Oh, why not?
What I'd say to that as well is that, take your point, they didn't come along the dock road, I don't think, and actually, as David says, park up anywhere right by the Bramley Moor. But where we are now is, less than 10 minutes from Goodison. And they were at Goodison, obviously.
I'm 5 minutes away from the city centre.
From town,
maybe I'm just a slight negative on it, but that's not the case, because all seems well in terms of going forward, in terms of the second stage of the plan, public consultation, that's gone. So now planning permission will go in. We're hearing before December, in December time, isn't it, Greg? That's what we're hearing. That can take 4 to 6 months, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that spade will be in the ground come what may. Have you, David, in the back of your mind and your mates, just finally before we leave on the Bramley Moore Stadium, have you talked about the last game at Goodison?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's It's a big moment. Even that last season, you know, when you're going into it, no, this will be the last season watching Everton at Goodison Park, and that last game, we have talked about it a lot. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be. I mean, I wouldn't like to be playing whoever we're playing on that day.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't fancy the chances, no matter what form we're in and what form they're in. So we talked about it. We talked about what will happen. You have to pull us out of the stadium. I think. Imagine trying to get everyone out of the stadium on that day. No one's going to be a willing leaver, are they, within a couple of hours of full time? So it's going to be a real emotional day. But
do you know what? I was just thinking then. When you were talking, I was thinking back to West Ham's last game with the Billing Ground, and like they had the taxis on the pitch.
It was a bit of a fast,
what's can they get?
He's got production ready, hasn't he?
It's going to be a whole. I wouldn't be surprised if the last day at Goodison goes on to be some sort of hit about this football fan gets locked out. Probably giving some ideas here.
No, I think how did he go about it? Because it's going to be so tough. And do you know what? To be fair, whatever the club do on the pitch in terms of the last game, no one's going to be really interested. You're just going to be sitting there in tears, and you're just looking around going, I can't believe I'm not going to be coming here no more.
I hope it's not a Merseyside derby, as Ed just said then, because that's the only way you could ruin it. Getting beaten. No, I'm joking. It's just going to be, well, actually unimaginable.
Yeah,
unimaginable.
I'd agree. Yeah,
It's been like a constant in all of our lives, hasn't it?
And some of your best memories, your worst memories, your great nights, and because you've been going there for such a long time, with people who are no longer here no more, and obviously passed on, and relatives, and your dad, everything, you'll start flooding back of all these memories. You're going, I cannot believe I'm not going to be going to this ground no more. It's going to shake it, isn't it?
It's rare, isn't it, in life? When you actually think about your life, it's rare to have such a constant in it, because it's always evolving, always changing. But that places for a lot of people, probably certainly us and people listening, that has been a constant in your life, and to not have it anymore, it'd be really, really sad. Well, not sad because it's something to celebrate, of course, but it'll be tough.
Do you know what? You make me think there. What you're saying, it's like, aren't we lucky to have had it and to be hopefully moving to a bigger and better stadium? But imagine if that constant, like, and it's happened to football fans, Barry. Imagine if your club disappears. Imagine how
so heartbreaking.
Like, I know they can launch it again, but somehow it's like that brings it home to when you think about that. Like, you know, it must be absolutely heartbreaking. It's bad enough leaving the stadium. Imagine if the club folds.
That's it. Yeah. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Let's hope not. That's a different episode.
Let's move to matters on the pitch this week, where it did say at the top of the podcast that Everton can move. Obviously, if they give knowledge of goods hiding, they can move into the top 6, maybe top 7, and they could have easily ended up in the bottom 3 just a couple of weeks ago with the defeat to Southampton. Greg, what are you looking forward to the most on Saturday?
I think we're 3 points off Arsenal, currently off Arsenal in 6th, and we're 6 points away from the bottom now. Well, sorry, from the drop zone.
So it's at Sheffield United in 5th. I believe.
Is it?
I think
3 points behind us?
Yeah, so I hope I haven't jumped in. I'm pretty sure from 5th to 15th is 3 points.
That is absolutely nuts.
To give it some context, I think this time last season, it was close to 20 points between 5th and 15th.
Wow, that's weird. That's really weird, isn't it?
The season before, I think it was 14, then 9, then back to 14.
What does that say about the Premier League?
Yeah, well, it either says it's really poor quality-wise or really competitive. And I'll be honest, I'm inclined to go with the latter. I think it's a very competitive league.
No good for betting purposes, there.
No, definitely not.
No, it certainly says the quality of teams coming up are getting better and better, doesn't it, from the Championship? And I think you can see the Championship's getting more competitive.
That's a tough league.
But that'd be give everyone a lift out, wouldn't it? When there was big pressure on Silva a couple of weeks ago. If Southampton would have beaten us, would have went into the bottom 3. Job was on the line. Now, if he wins on Saturday, he could go into the top 6. All's rosy again.
I mean, we don't want to go down this road because we've been having this.
Have we been here before?
So often. But in some ways, had we lost, and it depends on the circumstances in Southampton, you could mount a reasonable argument for him not even being a manager at this point in the international break. However, we didn't. We went and played well, and we beat a poor side. You know, and we got a long overdue away win. I don't want to sound negative, but were we to lose on Saturday, then he's right back in it.
There's a draw on board, and we're right back on it, aren't we?
We are right back on it, and he's right back in the pressure zone. Do you know what I mean? But
It's a sad state of affairs for me that you know.
This is going to linger for a while, though, until we get
it's just
head of steam.
I don't want every defeat to just become a mini crisis again and again. I don't feel like you can get the don't feel like you get the best out of a manager and a squad when they're constantly under that pressure.
No,
I agree.
I wish. See, the problem is a board can't come out now and say he's safe because it means nothing, and quite often it means the opposite. Yeah. But in an ideal world, I'd love the Everton board to just say, listen, you got to the end of the season, no pressure, let's see what you can do.
Do you think there will have been turned heads behind the scenes and what's happened at Tottenham this week?
I don't think you can compare the two, in my opinion. I just think, and you know, I don't ever believe Everton could have went out and got Mourinho. I just don't. I also think Pochettino's thing was a little bit different. He'd been there 5 years and they basically haven't played well for a year. You know, I think that the Champions League final.
Who's the third longest manager? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's alright, mate. Greg just saying he's the third. Just saying he's the third longest saving manager in the Premier League.
Will that go against Silva? What's gone on this week?
Well, I don't know. Maybe to some people who want him out, they can use it as something to ram home their point of sacking Silva or being negative about the Everton board. But for me, I'll be honest, right? I fully expect an upturn in Everton's results. Everything I've seen in terms of like the underlying numbers and all that, Everton have just been really unlucky. And I genuinely believe, you know, basic things like on average they're taking about 12 shots per game, the opposition's taking about 7. As a rule of thumb, you should on most occasions go on to win those fixtures.
If you've got a decent centre forward.
Well, not even. Well, yeah, okay. I don't want to dig anyone out up top, but I just think of course they've got a difficult run ahead of them, but overall I think Everton haven't been that bad this year. You know, I do think they will come good as the season comes on.
I agree. And I was listening to Radio City, bit of Merseyside phone in on Monday night, and a fella came on. It was quite funny actually, and he was saying he referred to the talking about the City game, the Tottenham game and the Brighton game as wins, and he was being a bit like glib, but what he was saying was they should have been wins.
Yeah. And
then if you factor in, and he's sort of right if you think about that, we've got hammered, and then those underlying stats that David said, that's 6 points, so we would be have been going into international break
the thing
in the
is,
mix
right,
for the Champions League qualification.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that's kind of covered, like Silva's time in Everton. And let's just remember, football is such a low-scoring game that chances are a goal normally impacts the result one way or the other. You know, Everton have conceded 16 set-piece goals last season, 7 this season. That accounts for around 32% of their league goals they conceded under Silva. You know, we're hoping that's an improving aspect of his game eventually, or Everton's game in terms of sorting set pieces. If you get that down to 10 or 12%, that's going to have a huge impact on your points.
Yeah.
And those minute details that you laugh and you say, you know, oh, it was just one game Spurs, or it was just one game Brighton. Look how tight the Premier League is. Like, Everton would have been comfortably in the top 5 had even one. No, if both of those results would have went our way, Everton would be in the top 5 now. I don't think anybody would be questioning Silva.
Yeah.
So it is just very fine details at the moment.
Totally agree, David. Couple of bits of team news. Delph and Bernard, possibility they could feature, Greg. One interesting aspect before we get to the Moise Keane situation, Holgate is slowly but surely becoming a permanent figure in this Everton team now and keeping Michael Keane on the bench now, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's not something, I'll be honest, not something I ever thought I'd see happen. I wasn't his biggest fan. But yeah, pass me the tissue because my eyes get wiped every time he plays at the moment. He's doing really well. He's matured. He's combative. He's more physical than he used to be. He can still play because that was one of the better things about his game, coming up through the Barnsley system like John Stones, that they're comfortable on the ball and they can pick a pass, and we saw that at Brighton, you know, charging forward and slipping a ball in like that to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So long may it continue. I just didn't see it happen, but at the moment he's a better option than Keane. You have to say, on form, he's a better option than Keane. And I did read an interview with him where he was also quite honest. Like, I wondered about his character and whether or not he was a bit of a kind of fun boy, you know, type. bit of a bling footballer, but I'm not sure that he is. I think that's probably just me, a misreading of a guy I don't know. I think he's actually quite grounded, and he was saying, I used to be, like, I was a world beating training one day and then I was anonymous the next, and he said that what I've done is I've found consistency in training, and it struck me as just quite a thoughtful, mature thing for still a young lad to say. So yeah, as I say, long way to continue, and it's up to Keane now to raise his game if he's going to get back into the mix.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it, David? That maybe sometimes for a young footballer, the penny can drop and go, do you know what? Yeah. There's a good opportunity at a big club. I went to West Brom last season, went okay for me, but I've been given a second opportunity at a massive club, and he looks like he's took it, doesn't he?
Yeah, but also as well, you've said it yourself, young player. Sometimes, eventually, a younger player their game will start to mature, and maybe just seeing that in Holgate, because he's been around for so long, in relative terms. Yeah. You kind of see him as a bit of a mainstay, a bit of he represents a previous regime. He's not going to be successful, but in reality, these players are still progressing, aren't they? And exactly. Maybe he's at the age now where he's in a system that's working in Everton, and he is becoming the player that we expected him to become. And I think he's got a good centre back next to him as well, which helps in the form of Yerry Mina.
Definitely. I think it was Tony or one of us made the point earlier in this season, even against Lincoln. I think they saw him as a bit of a weak point, and we're able to bully him a little bit. And in fairness, I agreed with you, but I think you can see he's stepping up. He's trying to be more physical. He's trying to dominate, because but trying to compete with centre forwards and not take a backward step, not be knocked off the ball. And he's probably physically developing, isn't he? Still.
Yeah. I think what could help him. I think actually playing in the Premier League could be a blessing for him, because I don't think you're playing against that big, strong number 9 centre forward that used to play 15-20 years ago. Maybe you'll get that in the Championship with the likes of Cardiff. But apart from Burnley, I can't think of many big strapping centre forwards that can bully you. You're not going to Stoke no more, all these types of teams. When you look at half the Championship teams, they've got a big number 9 up front that'll batter you and bruise you. I don't think you've got that, especially with the top clubs in the Premier League. The way I know they've got really skillful footballers, but no one who can physically outdo you in the game. So that maybe could be a bit of a blessing in disguise from Mason Holgate. From one Keane to another, Moisey Keane.
What a link that was!
Wow. Time to perfection, unlike Moisey himself.
Moisey Ken, isn't
Moisey. Unlike Moisey.
No need for that.
What is going on with his timekeeping, David? Buying my watch for Christmas?
Why? What have I missed? I'm being serious.
He's where have you been, Aiden?
LA. Oh, I've been working out
LA. International duty. Well, you've been on international duty, so have you as well. But you're aware of the incident involving Moisey Keane, aren't you?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one that was
late again?
When he was dropped from the Southampton.
Oh yeah, dropped from the Southampton game.
I did see that. My fault. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Do you mind if I carry
on? Come on, you can carry on there. You can dive in.
Yeah.
Late for the team meeting. Yeah. And dropped for the Southampton game.
Yeah.
Which Silva was right to do, wasn't
he? Yeah, I have no issue with it. I think these things obviously happen, and maybe Silva's made a point of disciplining him, in the correct manner.
But this isn't good enough for a young player, regardless of he's not settling in England and he can't speak a word of the language, and he's still adapting. You still know the time of your team meetings. You still turn up to them. You still respect your club.
I understand. But for me, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for now. I think it could just be a genuine thing, and until I start seeing piled up evidence of something different, I'm going to treat it as something that Richarlison could do. Bernard, Dean, anyone.
But this has happened at international level as well, hasn't it, Greg? This isn't an isolated incident where disciplinary issues have fallen on his head.
You know me as a stickler for punctuality, Never
look after his own here.
Never want to cut it fine.
No.
So
never late.
I say this with.
You can't have a go at him here. You can't have a go at him.
I say this as I was about to say. I say this with more than a bit tongue in cheek, aware of the irony. No, I agree. I agree with David. I think. Well, I actually agree with you both. It doesn't help that it's happened to him in the international scene with Mancini, and he's been sort of punished for that. And apparently it's happened twice at Everton, and now he's been punished for that. I think you've got to look at his age. I've got no excuse. You've got to look at his age. have to look at the fact that despite, and you're right, there's no excuse with the language. You can still set your
What's got to do with it?
Well, just in terms of like, I'm surmising, but just adapting to little things about the culture of the Premier League.
You can't
about how to get from where he lives to the training ground. Just little things like this.
That's a team meeting. He was late for. That's you know you've got to watch. If you're playing for Juventus, and you know there's a team meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're there. That's regardless of where you live. You know I've got to be there. Give myself 2 hours to get there.
Well, you're right.
It's professional football.
So I don't disagree with that. But all I'm saying is, I think the appropriate action was taken. He's been warned and he's been dropped for a game that he might have been involved in actually.
Yeah.
And he's apologised, hasn't he? I think he spoke to, was it Corriere dello Sport?
Yeah.
So he's admitted he was in the wrong. He's been a bit embarrassed by a few comments his dad seemed to have made in the media back in Italy. And
But like Partridge, he's bounced back.
he has bounced back like
an international level during the week, didn't he? Scored 2 goals.
Exactly. So let's hope that is a sign that he's finally ready. I sort of, the professionalism of him, is timekeeping, is being invested in the squad is really important. But what's more important as well is that he starts doing it on the pitch, isn't it? And showing signs he's going to actually score. And that's where I'm concerned. Not concerned, but I am doubts because I've looked at him and just gone, this doesn't look like a lad who's even remotely ready for this level.
But he looks nowhere near level.
No,
ready, he looks nowhere near ready for Premier League football. Maybe fitness-wise, quality-wise.
Well, you've just said about the Holgate then. The big difference in fee and reputation and all that, but he's younger, a lot younger than Holgate, so maybe we should be prepared to be patient.
Would you put him in the under-23s?
No, I'd play him Saturday at some point.
Would you?
Yeah, but for me, the Premier League is, as we've already touched on, really competitive, but I think we've got the easiest game you'll get in the Premier League this season.
Why do you have to say that?
But no, well, we'll say with a caveat, if it doesn't, if it does go against us,
at 5 o'clock.
Well, listen, if we get beat, then what can you do? I'm not jinxing it. I wouldn't change my opinion pre-kick-off. It is the easiest game this season.
You're speaking to someone who's back Norwich to finish bottom of the league.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And just in case.
So as I said, I think at home, Goodison crowd against a side low on confidence, more than likely to go down, probably by finish bottom of the table. I would give them a run out.
Could be the perfect time, couldn't it?
Well, it is the perfect time. It's as perfect as you'll get, I think. Especially after him scoring 2 midweek, confidence as well. And if you get to that first goal, then who knows?
Having said that, prediction time before we wrap up.
Yeah, I fancy Everton. I'm going to go 4-1.
4-1 Everton. 4-1. When was the last time? Go on.
Hear me out. So
he hasn't had a drink today.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. I fancy a dominant win for Everton, but Pookie has scored in around, I think it's 8 Norwich games, but he scored 2. No, he scored 3 in 2 international matches over the last 2 weeks, so it stinks, doesn't it?
Thanks for that, David. Yeah. Lovely. That's how he bows out, as per. Gregory, what's your prediction? I will say, I did say 2-1 against Southampton. We ran back on YouTube and go back. I did say 2-1.
Were you the only one who said 2-1?
I did, yeah.
What did I say?
I can't remember.
I
think you said 2-0.
Oh, okay.
I think you said 2-0.
We'll go back to it. There's me giving us a clean sheet. Well, I will say...
You're going to go for the hammering that Dave was suggesting?
Not quite, but sort of having listened to David's rallying cry in the dressing room.
Get him in there, 5-3.
I'm about as bullish as I can be this season. And I think we will keep a clean sheet. Pick Mason and Yerry Mina doing the biz out. 3-0. 3-0 to Everton. Thank you very much, John.
I'm going 3-1 Everton, so we'll see who's correct next week.
Fence comfortable you're sitting on there. Yeah, so you've gone right between us.
I just think Norwich will suit us the way they play. I'd be more worried if we were playing someone struggling down there. Southampton again, to be fair.
Any Scotty bets for the audience?
No. And go corners. We're flying on the corners.
Not like you to bet on corners.
No, I think we're the 4th best in the league, and Norwich are the 2nd worst, if I'm right, in terms of conceding them.
So we might score from a set piece and not concede from one.
It could be a bit of a corner fest. That's the correct word.
Right. I'll be there nice and early.
Yeah, I bet you will. I can't believe you are coming. You asked me. Come on, I'm moving Queens. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Blues, if you enjoyed that podcast, do give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and also on YouTube too. We'll be back next week. Who'll be playing next week, by the way?
Oh, no one.
Next week.
Leicester City.
Can we do it?
Leicester the way.
Leicester
That's
City
where we start playing a few tough.
And then
Oh, yes, the start.
steps up.
Yeah, and that's where we'll start pushing our way into the Champions League spot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We'll end on a positive. Thanks for tuning in, Evertonians.